This is Covert Agent Ravage, and you are watching another Malwave Transformers review.
Hey gang, it's a scenery change. You know what that means. It's time for another review week! Yay! And this week, we're going to be focusing on a toy that, while I may consider, well, in recent months anyway, I have considered myself a very big fan of. My favorite Transformer of all time, Soundwave, would not have been anywhere without this character. And he's been given multiple versions of himself in recent years, from 1984 all the way up to the present day. So, as a way to pay tribute to this wonderful character, I've decided to do Ravage Week. From today until the end of the week, every day there will be one new Ravage toy, from G1 all the way up to Universe 2.0 and the movies. So, let's start things off with the toy that started it all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the video review of G1 Ravage. I'm just going to zoom in now because, to be honest, this is about as close as we're going to get. There we go. Okay, where to start with G1 Ravage? Tape mode. You can kind of tell just how small this thing is by how big my hand has gotten. I'll just take these out. Hooray! I mean, I don't want to instantly shoot this review in the foot by just saying, like, oh, this toy sucks, but in all honesty, most of the cassette robots did suck. But I will say, I do really like Ravage the most, as I believe he's actually probably the most accurate tape you're going to ever get. I mean, when I think of a cassette tape, I think of a gray tape. Like, if I had... Sometimes this, I wish I actually had one of my cassette tapes around to show. But a cassette tape is pretty much just a black box, or like a black or gray box with maybe some white, obviously some white, and you see the little reels there. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. It's a box, like a little gray or black box. And Ravage himself, aside from the obvious head, really does resemble that. I mean, obviously you're going to deal with gaps, but I'm not going to knock a G1. Oh, come on, camera. Come on. Come on, camera. Don't fail me now. There. I think that might actually help it focus better. Yeah, I'm not going to knock a G1 transformation or alt mode just for its crappiness. You know, then that would be completely unfair. But considering how it works, if you flip it over here, you see it, like you see the Ravage fully. It's got the rub sign, not review the shield, god damn. Right, once that actually loads, just kind of zoom that in and hope that it, come on. Well, the autofocus does not want to work with me today. Yeah, this is one of those repro label, there we go. One of those repro label ones. Definitely worth the, just a side note, definitely worth the investment. Like $7 for 4 of them. That's actually very good. But yes, Ravage himself, the tape mode, I'm gonna score at about a 12 out of 25. You know, I again, you know, it's G1. I'm not gonna give it too many points. Like, I'm not gonna say this totally sucks. But it gets the point across. You know, it's a tape. It's what Ravage looks like. You know, deal with it. Anyways, onto the transformation. Now, this is the transformation I love the most, because it's easy. What you want to do is you want to flip out the tail. You want to fold the head around and down. You want to take the back, you want to take the hind legs, just unfold them, and they separate. And you just kind of want to straighten out the feet, just so that way he'll stand. Though I'll get to that in a minute. And you want to take the front feet, fold down the paws, straighten them out. And you want to take his weapons, And just make sure that this little piece here is on the top. You just want to peg him into the very back of the cat mode. And there you have G1 Ravage in cat mode. Yeah, I actually managed to get him to stand. Okay. Before I go into articulation, I'm just going to go into a small little bit on this cat mode. This thing suffers from what I like to call cassette syndrome. You know, really, oh, he looks really amazing from the side. Yeah, in order to make the cassette, Ravage has gone on the Atkins diet, making himself so thin that literally his paws have about at least 3 or 4 millimeters of actual surface. So you can tell how easily he falls over. But granted, I actually will say that you get a better view of him falling over. Get a better view of him falling over. Of him when he's on his side, you get a better complete scale of him. And I will say that even though the toy does not stand well, I love this vehicle, this cat mode. I love the golden eye, you know, the cat mode, like the silver legs. You know, flip it over here, it looks a lot better. It looks more G1. You know, obviously cassette, G1. But I do have a tip if you want to actually make them stand up. Just kind of put these paws together and put these in, kind of fold these back. Makes him look like he's sitting, you know, makes him look like he's just sitting. You put him near Soundwave, it looks like he's sitting near his master. Oh. It works. But articulation. Ravage has about, I said about 90 degrees of pivot. He's actually got about just over 180. But I say 90 because that's pretty much as realistic as it's going to get. I don't think a cat's going to look back like that. Unless it's a Siamese. Those things are fucking freaky. His shoulders have about 90-degree pivot. His elbows have about 180 degrees of pivot. His feet, I call his wrists, quote unquote, have 180 degrees of pivot. No waist joint. His thighs have 90-degree pivot. His knees have 180 degrees pivot. And his feet have 180 degrees pivot. I sense a pattern here. Being a Diaclone toy, obviously, Ravage is not big on articulation. So, for articulation, I will score G1 Ravage at a 15 out of 25. Again, I don't want to knock the G1 toy, you know, oh, G1, it sucks, it's such a horrible toy. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, compared to the newer toys, this isn't as good as one would hope. But the gimmick, for once, the gimmick actually saves this toy. Gimmick will get a 17 out of 25. Now, I know what you're going to say. You know, Mal, why is the gimmick save it, you know? Why does this gimmick save this toy? This is why. Yeah, that worked. This is why. Now, as I mentioned, this toy works with G1 Soundwave. And basically, just like every other cassette robot, Soundwave's being stubborn today. Pretty much, you take Ravage, and he's a bit stubborn. It does work, but you can shut him in. And now Ravage is inside of Soundwave. You know, and then you deploy him, you're like, Ravage, eject. And then he'll have Ravage as his loyal pet. Fun factor wise, G1 Ravage gets a gets a 19 out of 25. Again, the toy has a very easy transformation. You don't need to work very hard at putting him from cassette to Jaguar mode. He's also works with G1 Soundwave. and has been released with and without him in various box sets. You've got the Encore release. You've got the Classics 25th anniversary or 20th anniversary Soundwave. You've got the San Diego Comic-Con Soundwave. You know, just okay, maybe the 25th one I don't recall, but basically you've at least had 2 reissues of Ravage, not to mention the repaints from KISS players. However, there are a few things that do also impede the fun factor. One, these. Oh no, now I don't have a missile. What will I ever do? Ravage looks a little naked without... Ravage looks a little naked without them. This is the same issue with my G1 Buzzsaw that I have at home. Or at my dorm, anyway. The toy does not look... You know, the toy doesn't feel complete without the missiles. And these things are incredibly easy to lose. I mean, that would explain why half the cassettes you see online, that are cheap, don't have the missiles. Either because they're broken or they got lost. Also, if you do want to have the complete system with Soundwave, you may be expected to pay some serious coin. I only got my Soundwave, I think, at about $20 or so, like 30, 40, 50 bucks. And that was with a whole bunch of extra stuff. Sometimes people have complete Soundwaves for like hundreds of dollars. I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. So, it all depends. But in total, G1 Ravage gets a 63 out of 100. Granted, it's not the best way to start off Ravage Week, but I still recommend this little guy if you love this character. After all, he was the inspiration for a certain figure that's up next. I wonder who it could be. So until tomorrow, this is Malwave, signing out. See you, everybody.